D.O.S.E. I'm Hector.
And I'm Kara, and today we are so grateful and thankful to have our very first guest on our podcast, the one and only Tim Sloma. Tim, Thank you so much for being here. Tim, one of the reasons that we really wanted to have you on and why we're just so blessed to have you as our very first guest is because we really admire you and just your background and the story that you come from. I think a lot of times when people reach a certain point of success, a lot of people are kind of like searching for that rags to riches type story. Mm-hmm. And you've actually had the opportunity to come from a successful background, be raised in an environment that really is conducive to success already, and you actually decided to walk away from that. Something that is kind of like, quote unquote, the American dream. Mm-hmm. So I am just always so inspired by that because a lot of times people are just conditioned to do, they grow up, they go to school, they get a job, they get, their benefits, their family, they're married. It's just like that average American dream life. And I just love that you actually were brave enough to walk away from that and start on your whole own journey for something bigger. And something that I really wanted to dive into first is just you kind of telling us a little bit about that. What made you want to walk away from something so secure, and what kind of led you and gave you the faith to do that?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Hector, Kara, for having me here on the Daily D.O.S.E. as the first guest. It's lit. I'm super excited to be here because this is something that I think, down the line is going to be just utilized by so many different people, and really we're going to be able to look back at these videos and be like, man, I'm just so happy and grateful I took that leap of faith. And I say that first because it really resonates with my story. My background, going to school for finance, getting my master's degree, having a family's accounting firm, having that stability and safety. But, taking that leap of faith is you really have to ask yourself, am I happy here? I remember I was having a conversation just maybe a couple months ago with a mentor of mine. I was kind of down in the dumps. I wasn't, where I wanted to be. Things were going on mentally and health-wise and all these things. And he asked me a couple questions. And he's like, are you eating tomorrow? Do you have a home tomorrow? Do you have clothes on your body? Are you dying? Are you going to jail? And I was like, well, I'm not going to jail, and I'm eating for sure, right? But it was one of those things where he's like, then what's the issue, right? And so I think, when I look back at even the roller coaster that this has, created for me, it's been such a blessing for me, just taking that leap of faith and, having that fulfillment of just helping other people. It's one thing to do something for yourself, but when you can put food on 1,000+ other people's plates, like, you're gonna die happy, and there's gonna be a legacy that's left behind that nobody can take away from you. So I don't know if that answers your question right away. I'm sure we'll dive more into it, but that's how it started off.
Yeah, no, that was great. I love that. That was a great answer.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So speaking, about like your mentors, like what do you look for in a mentor? Because you're a person, that's, for us at a higher level, so like what do you look for in a mentor, and like what information are you, seeking from them?
Yeah, so I really wish I knew the questions prior to this, but just so y'all are watching, like I don't know any of the questions that are coming, so
podcast,
you guys are, getting the full honest truth here, but for me, someone honestly that's gonna, cut the BS, right? I don't know if I'm allowed to like say certain words on the podcast
here,
but
we love swearing here.
Yeah. They're not gonna let me, they're gonna keep it clear cut with me, right? Someone that's going, it's like the iron sharpening iron idea is like, they're going to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's upsetting, sometimes it feels like they're not actually working in your best interest. But if you have a true mentor, someone that really cares about you, someone that's checking in on you, someone that's telling you things that other people won't tell you, that's someone you want in your corner. You don't want a yes person. You don't want someone that's sugarcoating the truth. You want someone who's going to be honest with you, someone who's going to show up when you need them. And a lot of times mentorship isn't like coaching. It isn't like, okay, cool, I'm scheduling you for an hour and like I'm going to start asking you all these questions. Sometimes mentorship is understanding as a mentee, it's our role to pay attention. And I would much rather watch someone's feet move than mouth move. And so for me, I'm really looking for mentors that are taking action, and I can see that they're consistent behind closed doors and in public. And so, there's tons of qualities, they have integrity, proper intention, they don't fold under pressure, they stick to their word. There's so many different things. But for me, it's like, I'm more so looking for mentors with not really necessarily the results, but who they are as an individual, characteristics that I want to personally have. And that's what I search for. But more importantly than anything else is a mentor who's not going to let you, BS around the truth, for sure.
Dude, that like.
I love
awesome.
that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I love that because being one of your mentees, it's really cool to see just how that has trickled down with you. You've had the opportunity to mentor thousands of people. You've had the opportunity to speak in front of arenas of people, and that is the same way that you mentor. It's actually one of the reasons I just value you so much, because I always know going into it, like, I'm not just going to hear whatever, like, I'm going to hear what I need to hear, and it's going to burn probably, but I know that Savage Tim is going to get me right at the end of it, and that's actually really amazing. I know that for you, a lot of your direct circle, you have mentors in your direct circle who have also became your friends, your business partners. A lot of times you hear that phrase, like, don't mix business and pleasure. How have you seen that kind of come to fruition within your circle? Has it like caused any issues for you? How has it helped you grow? How did you even kind of work yourself into that specific circle? Because I know a lot of the people that you hang around are very successful, some of them even like the top paid network marketers in the world, and you have direct access to them. Just tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, it's funny because Mike and I joke so much with Jason and Matt. Like, my pinned messages, I think Jason and Matt are in 5 of them. You can have 9.
Yeah.
Like, I'm constantly talking to them. And I got 2 kind of stories I can go with this. The first one I think is, I remember the first time I was in Dallas and I met Jason Brown, and he heard about me, he saw me, things I was doing, and I remember I was embarrassed they were going out to a dinner, and I felt very unworthy to go there. I mean, I was like a Platinum 2000 in our company at the time, and each of these individuals were 6-figure earners. I was doing about $24,000 to $26,000 a year at that point, and I just felt like I couldn't be a part of the circle. And I remember him saying, he's like, Tim, if I asked you to come, I'm not asking you to come because of your rank, I'm asking you to come because of who you are. And that was something that was really, really big for me, because I saw in Jason was looking not at what I was in his back office, but who I was as a person. And I really look at like myself in the Chicago squad. It's funny because I've gone out for drinks with you guys, we've gone out for meals, we've gone to bandas, we've done so many, we've done so many fun, amazing things. But I think what's really, really important, at least for me, is I know when to differentiate when it's friend time and when it's mentor time. I know when it's time for me to listen to Jay and Matt. Like, we've been yelled at before. We've been, we've got the hammer drop on us a couple times. And that's not the moment for us to joke around, right? That's the moment for us to receive. And then there's moments when we went to like Matt's, music premiere in Miami, the rooftop where they filmed his music video, and we went to the club and we did a lot of that. That's friend time, and I think that the same thing you guys can kind of see how I operate here in Chicago is, I would say I have a lot of respect from the team, because when it's time to be friends, I'm friendly. And I think when it's time to do business, I get the edification, I get the respect. And so I think that's something that comes naturally over time. It's definitely something that's learned. It's not something that can be trained on. But I think you two can see it, obviously in the Chicagoland area, the relationship that I have with people in your organizations, with people around here is, it's something that comes with time. And it's in order to get that respect part and to transfer out and say, this is my friendship part and this is the business part, right? In order to get back over here, you have to show up. You have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to be the person that you say you're going to be. And so if you don't do this part, you're always going to be here. And if you don't do this part, you're never really going to have a deep relationship. And I think in business, and you're bringing up business and pleasure, friendship and partnerships, it's like, at the end of the day, do we want to die just with business partners? No, at least not myself. Maybe some people do, but for me, I want to die knowing that, people I've worked with, I'm in their weddings, I'm at their families' baptisms or their children's baptisms. I'm, going for birthday parties and going on vacations together. That to me is so important. But I think finding that solid line of respect is what's going to matter and make the difference if that's possible. So,
Damn, what an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely admire the way that you and, Mike and Nancy and everyone that like I see you work with, because we watch you, we watch how you're moving, because I think that's what a mentee should do, but I admire that. And have you ever had a time where like maybe business and friendship didn't work out together and like maybe caused some problems, and like what did that do, or how did you fix it?
Yeah, I mean, there's been people who I'm close friends with who partnered with me in business, and they didn't succeed, and it's not the system's fault or the business's fault. It's I'm not doing anything, So sometimes that puts a sour taste in their mouth, and like, oh well, I expected you to do everything for me. It's like, it's like the homie cut, the homie deal. It's like you just become a barber, or you just become a tattoo artist, and you want a homie cut, but it's like, bro, like you don't see the amount of hours and time that person has put into their craft, like pay them their worth. So yeah, I mean, definitely, for sure, without a doubt, it happens, man. I think that's just humans as we are, is like we expect a lot. And that's Mike and I are really good at that. Like with friends that I've got started in business, I've had Mike do the launches, I've had Mike be more involved.
I like that.
I've taken myself out of the equation and I have allowed a third party to come in. I'm there helping, but I've allowed someone else with giving edified authority to step in, so there's no, how do I say this? It helps a lot. So I think bringing a third party into business, especially when working with friends, is extremely important.
Yeah, like sometimes people have a hard time like hearing things from people that are like really close to them. And
like they know you from your past or
anything
like
like
that.
They still see you as that person that maybe you were partying with all the time.
Yeah.
They don't have that respect yet, but that's cool. Do you have anything to go after that? Or?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love that you've been able to do, I have a business degree, so it's a path that I've always just known I was going to be on the business path. I love seeing how you've become a successful trader. You've successfully been able to duplicate that within thousands of people now are just full-time entrepreneurs, but you've been able to take what you've made from that and pivot and create a bunch of different businesses off of that. And I think that's super important because you obviously don't ever just want all your eggs in one basket. You want constant streams of income coming from all different areas. What do you have to say about multiple streams of income, and especially in today's economical climate?
Yeah, get them. That's important. I mean, even for myself, over the past couple of years, like there's been points where strong streams of income that were taking care of things became nothing or became really low, or you have retracements in the business and you derank, or you have a bad month of trading, or different things are going on. You have a bad month of Airbnbs, and multiple streams of income are important. One stream is I said this yesterday, one stream is way too close to zero, especially over the past 2 years. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have had to take pay cuts. Even when people are getting paid more and you balance that, offset that with inflation, it's still not enough. Multiple streams of income are huge. I'm doing a thing right now for fun. We talk about, and this is funny because we talk about, you need 7 streams of income to become a millionaire. I don't know how necessarily true that is. I think it's important to, build 7, 10, 15, so on and so forth. But, right now I'm doing the household income idea where it's the average household income in the United States is like $55,000, $56,000 a year. And if you just get $600 a month income streams, you make the average household income. So I think a lot of us are trying to make $1 million in each income stream, and that's the only way we can consider ourselves successful, or that's the only way we can consider ourselves doing this entrepreneurial thing. But it's like, man, just make an extra $600 a month in one thing, then do it again, and then do it again, and do it again. I'm doing mining rigs. I mean, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and flip furniture. You can do literally anything. Go on Reddit and look up how to make money. There's thousands of ways of making money. And it doesn't need to be these massive, grand scale things that we see on social media all the time. They can be small and then scale from there. I have a friend that takes wood, free lumber, and he, makes tables and stuff from it and flips it. And there's no cost to him other than the electricity to plug in the saw and his time. And he's making extra money on the side and, doing lumber. Now, that's not my specialty. I can't do that, right? I'm good at business, other things, right? Maybe I'll do the sales for him, but I would say multiple streams are so important. Start small. I think a lot of people are intimidated by multiple streams of income, but multiple streams of income start with just one. Then it's another one, then it's another one, then another one. So build and scale. You're going to be grateful you did it 20, 30 years from now.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
I want to go back to something that it kind of goes what both you said. So you had said that one of you said that how you may lose sometimes. One income stream may not be the top one anymore. Like I do remember listening to an interview that you were in, and you saying that there was a time when you lost your business. How did you kind of deal with that? Like, because I think that a lot of people feel really good when business is good, and then like all of a sudden once they go through a struggle, it's like, I'm done, like that was it, that's all I can do. So like, how did you keep going?
I feel like these are really loaded questions. Each question I feel like I'm not answering fully.
No, you're doing so
for a whole
good.
hour here, but that was a really challenging moment for me, because even, you know, like you said, like I did business prior to this, but it wasn't my business. It was my family's business. So, you know, I was more of an employee being trained to take over, not anything more than that. And, you know, I was involved in a lot of the business things, and of course, like that, but I never got to experience a downfall, right? They were already extremely successful, been around for 40 years. So my first downfall, when I went from the peak of my business down to nothing, I really had to learn like leadership. I had to learn that you can't, people aren't cookie cutters, right? Everyone has to be led differently. To be honest, if it wasn't for these two things, I don't think I would have survived, faith and mentorship. If it wasn't for the fact that when I decided I wasn't going to be an accountant anymore, and I was going to pursue, you know, digital entrepreneurship, network marketing, you know, like different things like that, I probably would have quit. And I probably would have went to my safety net, because I had the largest safety net in the world. You know, I graduated top of my class. Like, I got a job offer in Costa Rica for the head sports ministry of the nation, the new stadium they were building. Like, I had all these amazing things. I had all these safety nets. But I felt this calling to business. I felt this calling to serving people in this manner and making that my ministry. And so, because something bad happened, right, I'm not going to say, okay, you know, I don't trust God anymore because something bad happened. Like, that needed to happen, because if that didn't happen, my mentors, I would have never had the opportunity to be vulnerable to my mentors and seek for help. And because I was vulnerable, they were able to give me what I needed. And it wasn't even they did much. They gave me books. And it, you know, Outwitting the Devil, you know, and it was How to Win Friends and Influence People. I started listening to more Jim Rohn. I started, you know, reading tons of John C. Maxwell. I started doing all these different things that I wasn't doing when I was building the business and seeing a bunch of success. And so I was missing that foundation. I had a house, but I didn't have a foundation. And because my house crumbled, I then got a second chance to build a proper foundation. And obviously, we all have retracements. I've had retracements. You know, there's been multiple times where hundreds of people have left my business, and it's like, damn, like, am I good enough for this, you know? But because I've always had that solid foundation, I build a foundation of leaders now. I don't have those worries anymore. I was able to move forward. So yeah, I think a lot of people freak out when bad things happen, but they don't understand is we need those things to happen to reevaluate where we're at. We need those things to happen to reevaluate who we are. It's like, it's cool to love God and praise God when things are going great, but what about when things aren't going great? You know, like, can you find contentment with and without? And I think that was really, really important for me. And that's why even in situations now where it's like, you know, I was doing a devotional today with my girlfriend, and it's so funny because Mike always jokes with me. He's like, dude, you freak out so much, right? And he'll tell you this, like, I'll be freaking out about something, but he's like, it's so funny how everything you ever freak out about never happens. He's like literally everything always works in your favor. You can be worried about this situation, it's always taken care of. You can be worried about a financial situation, it's always taken care of. And it's crazy because I'll be worried about something, and then something in a moment happens that completely fixes it out of my control. And I think when we focus more on the vision, we focus more on the goal, we focus more on why we got started, and we leave all that other nonsense to the side and we just stay pure with our intentions, you know, we're good. We're good. We're golden. There's nothing that we ever have to worry about. So that would be my answer for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We get to hear you talk like every day, but every time you speak, it's just still like, oh my God, I can't help but absorb everything.
Yeah, you learn something new. So, going back to what you just said, like, you were in a stage where you were also, like, you had all these offers. Mm-hmm. So, how did you stick with the vision? I feel like a lot of times people want to take that leap of being an entrepreneur or starting a new business, but then they fall back into that comfortable lifestyle because maybe they're doing it while they have a job and they have that steady income. So how did you continue pushing forward knowing that you had that safety net?
You know, this is a really challenging one to answer because, you know, yesterday you guys heard me list off a bunch of statistics. You know, by age 50, 75% of Americans don't have $5,000 in their bank account. By 65, you know, 29% of people are dead, 63% rely on the government, 4% of people, you know, have enough money to retire, and 1%'s wealthy. You know, there's all these crazy statistics, and I think when you know the truth, like, frick your emotions, you know, like, F your feelings, right? Like, go read the book. You know, because at the end of the day, it's like, is it better on the other side? Probably not. Maybe you're comfortable now, but here's the thing, like, you're gonna always be that form of comfortable for the rest of your life. And it's one thing that it's like, when you start making more money, you start making, you know, 5 figures a month, or you start getting to the 6-figure a month mark, you're like, I'm not comfortable right now. Like, I feel uncomfortable making $10,000 a month. You know, I was uncomfortable making $2,000 a month. Right? So every new level, you're going to start getting this new uncomfortable. You're never going to be able to escape that. Right? So I want to tell people that are listening to this and watching is like, that moment's going to continue to happen. It's never going to go away. It's going to continue to happen. But for me, for example, you know, I think my why was just stronger than my excuses. You know, my desire to help my mom is stronger than the BS of losing the business. You know, wanting to start charities, wanting to travel, wanting to help people and build businesses with my friends and things like that. Like, that was stronger than the negatives, right? And I look back at that moment now, 4 years later. You know, this May will be 5 years of full-time entrepreneurship. I look back at that moment, I can barely remember it. You know, so is what's happening right now really going to be important 5-10 years from now? I mean, it may be a dot in your story, but probably not that important, you know? And so I think you just got to keep moving forward. It's like, if you have a GPS, like I was GPSing here, right? And let's say there was a car crash, or there was snow, or there was a detour, like, the GPS is going to recalculate and still get me here. So if your goal is the same thing as the GPS, like, okay, I want to get to this point, you should expect car crashes. You should expect rain. If you live in Chicago, you should expect snow, right? Like, you should expect these things to happen. Not that, like, you want to manifest them, but know that, okay, cool, like, life isn't sunshine and rainbows. God never promised that. But the GPS is still going. So it may have recalculated. It may have made you make a U-turn, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get to where you want to go. The only way things aren't going to happen is if you turn that GPS off and you go back home. And I just refuse to let that happen.
Damn, that's a great analogy. Like, just the rerouting will happen regardless.
Yeah.
It's lit. Yeah. Do you have another question?
I'm kind of like blown away right there.
Yeah.
That's a really great way to look at it, because I think a lot of times in, you know, the business that we do, mentoring people, a lot of times, obviously people come to us to learn how to trade. But the work usually isn't even teaching them how to trade. A lot of times it's just breaking old paradigms and trying to break their fear and their mindset and just kind of like break these chains that they're conditioned to have based on their environment. And I think that's really awesome, because that can be debilitating for people. Like, those little hurdles that come along the way will cause them to shut the GPS off and completely forget everything that they wanted and just go right back. And like you said, I love what you said about that comfortable is going to be the comfortable for the rest of their life. Where, like, if they just kept going, it might be hard now, but the comfort that they're going to have 20 years down the road, not having to worry about money, not having to worry about retiring, not worrying if, you know, someone gets sick and how are we going to do this, how are we going to work, how are we going to pay our bills, that type of comfort is priceless. So those little hurdles now mean nothing. So that's cool. Well, before we conclude it out, why don't you just go ahead and let us know, what are some of your goals for 2022, and what advice would you give to someone right here, right now, that might be in that boat where they're feeling like, you know what, I want to do more. They have that feeling like they know that they're destined for more. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, well, I'll begin with this. I think you need to have your goals written down. You know, I think there's less than 5% of people in the world that actually have goals, and there's probably 1% of the world total that actually has them written down. The easiest way to get into the 5%, the easiest way to become successful is to write goals down. You know, I think what's really, really important is you need to start studying yourself, right? We study all these authors, we study all these successful people, but we never study ourselves. And I feel like that's why we get stuck where we're at is because we're not studying who we are now and who we need to become to get to where we want to go. So massive goals for me, you know, obviously I want to scale our business from, you know, 3,000 people currently active in the business to about 10,000, hitting Chairman 100. You know, I want to have, my goal is around 5 to 7 more Airbnbs. I want to have 3 houses on top of that. You know, the credit score needs to be worked up a little bit. You know, I always have a travel country goal. You know, I want to get to 40 countries. I'm at 17 currently. That probably won't happen this year, but at least, you know, I'd love to see maybe 5 or 6 new countries this year. My goals are very simple this year, right? I'm very focused. Sometimes I have like 10, 15, 20 goals, but this year I'm very focused. My number 1 goal right now is Chairman 100. Without a doubt, duplicating 10 other chairmans per leg, you know, and making that happen. You know, something I want to tell someone who's watching this right now, who's kind of sitting here and being like, all right, cool, you know, this guy made it, right? Awesome. No one really loves the person who made it. They love the person on the journey. Is remember, you know, I was not in this position one day. You know, I'm a normal dude just like you. I would say I'm a normal girl just like you, but that's not true, right? But, you know, as human beings, all made in God's image, you know, we're the highest form of creation. We are all the same on a spiritual level, on an atom, DNA level, we're all the same. You can do it. You know, I'm a normal guy. I'm wearing Hollister jeans and a sweater that Alexis, you know, Poppy Shampoo gave me yesterday. Right? And I got this gift and I loved it. I'm going to be wearing it every day. You know, I'm a normal guy, and I think what happens is we look at people as different than us or better than us, and we feel like we have to become someone that we're not. But your uniqueness is what people are looking for. Your uniqueness is enough. That vision that you've been given is enough. And it wouldn't have been given to you if you needed to be someone different than yourself. And so don't worry about what anyone else is doing, right? Don't worry about you needing to be someone else. Be you. And that's truly where you're going to start seeing a lot of growth. And so write your goals down. Be unique to yourself and just have absolute faith that it's done. There's no reason why it can't happen if it's happened for me. So that's what I would say to everyone listening today.
Nice.
Sheesh.
Well, man, we appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for taking the time to come out here. Thank you for taking the time to share the knowledge that you know, gained throughout your experiences to our
viewers.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you.
Of course.
I shake up with you, but it's kind of weird, you know? Like,